It's just, motivation, fuel to the fire. It's, something I feel like I've been doing my whole life is proving people wrong. And, people make assumptions or judgments and they don't really know, the background of it maybe or not. But if someone says, I can't skate well enough to, play in this league or play in that league, gonna go and work on my skating and, become faster and prove them wrong. So, it's something that, I don't really think about too much, but obviously in the back of my mind, it's something that, gives me a little chip on my shoulder.
That was the 24-25 WHL scoring leader and first team CHL All-Star Andrew Cristall. And you are listening to the Up My Hockey Podcast with Jason Podolak.
Just watch me now.
Welcome to Up My Hockey with Jason Podolak, where we deconstruct the NHL journey, discuss what it takes to make it, and have a few laughs along the way. I'm your host, Jason Podolak, a 31st overall draft pick who played 41 NHL games, but thought he was destined for 1,000. Learn from my story and those of my guests. This is a hockey podcast about reaching your potential. Hey there, welcome to the show for the first time. This is the Up My Hockey Podcast with Jason Podolak, and I am your host, Jason Podolak, and you are here for episode 160, and we have Andrew Cristall on today. Andrew Cristall is a name that you will recognize if you are following the WHL in any capacity, in any way, shape, or form, and maybe even the CHL in any capacity, way, shape, or form, or if you are a Washington Capitals fan. Because Andrew Cristall has been tearing apart the WHL for the better part of 4 seasons. He was an 8th overall selection by the Kelowna Rockets in his WHL draft year, and he's been kicking butt ever since. I actually looked him up prior to the interview, and I mentioned it in our conversation, but he's 21st all time in the WHL for career points. So he has been racking it up since day one. He got to play some games as a 15-year-old in the bubble. He had an extraordinary 16-year-old year with the Rockets. I think he had, what does he have here? 28 goals, 41 assists for 69 points in 61 games. Anytime you throw up a point a game average as a 16-year-old and get close to that 30-goal mark, you are doing something right. And then he followed that up with a 95-point season his draft year, which gave him 40th overall selection to the Washington Capitals. We discussed that draft day was a bit of a disappointment, as Andrew was hoping and expecting to be a first rounder. That didn't pan out, but he ended up going to Washington, where he was super excited, and went on to have 111 points the following year, and then last year I think he had 132 points. He got traded to Spokane at the halfway point. He led all WHL scorers and won first team All-Star recognition in the entire Canadian Hockey League. So tore the league absolutely wide open, and he continued on doing that in the playoffs. We talk about that in this podcast. I don't have it in front of me right now, his points in the playoffs, but he broke. Well, him and Berkeley Catton both broke my points record, Spokane Chief points playoff record in one playoff season, and Andrew tied my goal record. So now it's our goal record. He scored 21 goals in, I believe, 19 games. I did an 18, Cristall. I forgot to, or Andrew, I forgot to rub that in on you a little bit. But yeah, 21 goals as a Spokane Chief in the playoffs, and we looked that up, and that is second most all time in WHL history. So one player has scored 22 goals in a playoff run, and there's 3 or 4 others that have scored 21, and Andrew and I are those players. So he had a fantastic finish to his WHL career. Now his sights are set on becoming a pro. That will happen either in Hershey with the Bears, or it will happen with Washington with the Capitals for the 25-26 season. And we talk about all things Cristall on this podcast. He was somebody that played U15 prep out here in Western Canada. For those of you who aren't familiar with the CSSHL, that is predominantly recognized as the top league available for U15 players, the U15 prep circuit. So that is on par with AAA out here. They're if you go to a tournament like the John Reed will also have top AAA teams there. But as far as the league as a whole, the CSSHL and the U15 Prep League is considered to be the top league available to young athletes out here. And Andrew was able to play in that league as a first year, which is not usual. Like, there is obviously a handful of pocket of guys that will play every year. Probably wouldn't be more than a dozen though an entire season and all across Western Canada. And he threw up well over a point a game, almost 2 points a game actually, as a first year in that league, which is absolutely incredible. He had 25 goals, 27 assists in 30 games. And then followed that up, coming back to St. George's again as the captain, and led the entire CSSHL in goals with 43. He had 80 points in 27 games. So it was a phenomenal young player in the amateur route there, and earned him an 8th overall selection. He mentions that he didn't get to play a midget year really at all because of the bubble, and he was able to play as a 15-year-old with Kelowna. So he jumped from bantam hockey to Kelowna, and really has never looked back. There was a bit of a snub by Hockey Canada. Lots of people were saying that that Andrew was somebody that should have made that team. We cover that in this conversation. Canada did not go on to fare very well in that tournament. So as whatever happens with Canada and the World Junior Championships, when they don't win gold, there's a lot of second guessing and a lot of finger pointing. And last season, with them not winning gold, there was a lot of big names that were left off that roster. And Andrew was one of those names that was left off. Kind of rare to see, somebody who was drafted as high as he did, someone who was leading the WHL in scoring at the time, ended up finishing the season as the scoring leader, get left off that team. Is kind of an obvious one that would raise some question marks and raise some eyebrows. But we do talk about that. Spokane ended up getting knocked out by, who was it now? Brandon, I think, in the... No, Medicine Hat, my apologies. Medicine Hat in the WHL finals. They almost punched their ticket to the Memorial Cup. Unfortunately, they couldn't get there, but again, a great run once you went back to my old stomping grounds there in Spokane. So this is a great conversation. Just wanted to give you a rundown of Andrew and his story prior to getting into the conversation. But without further ado, let's jump in to episode 160 with Andrew Cristall. All right, here we are live with Andrew Cristall, or Andrew Cristall. Oh my gosh, I just asked you how to pronounce the damn thing, and I got it wrong off the bat. Anyways, welcome to the show, Andrew. Happy to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Fellow BC boy, I love it. So I was born and grew up in Vernon, BC, and so that's where I played all my minor, and now I have 3 boys that are trying to follow in your footsteps, and also going through the process. So we have BC. We have BC in common. Maybe we'll start there. Like, what was your introduction to hockey? How did you get involved in it?
Yeah, I think, well, for me, my brother who's older than me, he got into it first, but my parents just kind of threw both of us into a bunch of different sports, and whether that was just kind of getting on the ice and doing some skating lessons. And I think I just kind of fell in love with the skating and the hockey over some of the other sports I tried. So I think it's just kind of from there I fell in love with it.
Awesome. It helps. It looks to me like, just looking at your stats from where Elite Prospects picks up, that you were always good. So I assume, did you find an aptitude for it right away?
Yeah, I'd say I kind of found it right away. I think I just kind of, like I said, I loved hockey, so I'd always be watching it and trying to learn. So I think from a young age, like getting my, hockey IQ higher and kind of developing that way first helped me a lot to, obviously put up good numbers offensively, I guess, and then be a pretty good player. So I think just right away, I just loved everything about it.
That's fun. Yeah, I mean, success builds enjoyment a lot of the time, right? So you're having success and it feels good. My mom tells me the story where I don't think anyone can skate the first time they're on the ice, but like I guess I was quite not very good at it, and like and so I would drag myself along the boards, and I wanted to be a goalie for like the first month because I just didn't have to skate anywhere if that was the case. So anyways, Did you ever have any goalie moments?
Oh yeah, I think I want to say like 8, 9-ish maybe. I really just wanted to play goalie, so I think I got my brother's old teammates like equipment, and I tried it for a little bit, and I think by the second game we might have been down like 3 goals or 2 goals, and then I started to just like play as a forward but when I had my goalie pads on. So I think from then I knew I wasn't going to be a goalie.
Come on, are you serious? You were ripping around with goalie pads on, trying to tie the
Yeah,
game?
I think my parents were telling me I was trying to like kind of score or make a pass and get out of my crease a bit. So I think I knew from then it was not going to
Oh man, that's awesome. Love that. Cool. So as far as that goes, did you ever, you were an eighth overall pick. I want to get to that. You played in the CSSHL for St. George's, so we can talk about that. But up to that point, did you ever like jump a level in minor? Did you ever play as an underage anywhere?
Well, I think, well, for me, it was kind of first year Adam, first year Pee Wee, first year Bantam. It's mixed group, so 04s and 05s. So when I was younger, I was, lucky enough to make the top team A1 at BWC. And so I'd play up with mostly 04s there.
Yeah,
But other than that, it was pretty much just with my age group and a year older sometimes.
gotcha. Yeah, because it seems like now, I don't know, there's such a race, and so many parents want to, and maybe players too, right? Like want to get ahead of the system or ahead of the game and play up. Uh, it's interesting that you didn't. I mean, that first year jump is always quite a big jump in and of its own, right? To move from the U13 up to U15 or whatever the case may be, and you're playing with bigger, stronger guys, and a lot of times it's a big enough accomplishment just to be able to play with those older guys.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is in itself, it's a big accomplishment. Also, from switching to Adam to Pee Wee, or whenever you switch to hitting Pee Wee to Bantam, it's a big jump, especially when you're playing with older players who have already done it for a year. So yeah, I think some people maybe think it's a sprint and whatnot, but it's kind of more of a marathon, and everybody goes at their own pace and kind of develops at their own speed. So it's different for everyone, I think.
If you look back on it now, and I know you've kind of made two jumps and you've dipped your toe in the water at the pro level, with camps, and I think you were at Hershey. We can talk about that in a little bit. But what looking back now has been the biggest jump? Was it the jump to the WHL? Was it like U13 to U15 when you first had to experience contact, or what for you had been the biggest difference?
Yeah, I think for me it would be like the COVID year. I was supposed to play U18, but all the first rounders, I think, in that WHL draft were able to go to the bubble and play in the WHL as a 15-year-old. So I think that for me was probably the biggest jump. Basically, going from Bantam to junior hockey was a big jump, and I thought I handled it pretty well. But I think that was the biggest jump I've had.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that because I wouldn't have known that. So you went to a really strange year with the COVID year in the bubble as a
Yeah.
15-year-old. What? Yeah, give me the time warp of what that must have felt like.
Yeah, it was just kind of crazy. It was, I got drafted while it was kind of happening, and it was a different time of year for the draft, and then everything was pretty much shut down, and not knowing what was going on with where we were going to play and throughout the year and whatnot, and then kind of just got let know that I could play with Kelowna for the 24 game bubble season that they were going to have, and I was pretty pumped up. So I was like, yeah, sweet, let's do it, and kind of just headed down there to the bubble and kind of figured it out from there.
And what was that like experience like? Were you in a hotel? Where were you guys?
So the bubbles for us were in Kelowna and Kamloops. So lucky for me, I was able to have a billet house and live with a couple other players, and that stuff was kind of normal. I know some guys. I think there was a bubble in Regina or around there, and they had to stay in dorm rooms at the university. So for me, I got pretty lucky to be put in a great spot in a billet house.
Yeah, okay. So you had somewhat of a normal existence. It was just a
Yeah,
smaller whatever circle of teams, but it
a little
wasn't
bit.
it wasn't not being able to go out and see anyone. Yeah, that was such it's so I mean, that was my wife and I were just talking about that. Like, God, it seems like it almost didn't happen, kind of, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like you're back to normal, and it was so strange at that time, everything that was going on. I forget half of it. Um, what were your minutes like that year, as far as being in the bubble, and how did the older guys treat you? What was that experience all about?
Yeah, it was awesome. I think it was great. Like everyone was super nice to me. All the older guys were really welcoming, and our team actually, it was pretty unfortunate. We got like a COVID outbreak, I guess you could call it. So we had 8 games cut from our original 24 games. So we only played 16, and I got in 14 of them, and played a good amount, played some power play and that stuff. So I think it was huge for me to then go from there to being super confident and having a good 16-year-old year. So I was pretty fortunate to get put in that spot and kind of jumpstart me a bit.
Cool. You remember the first goal?
Yeah, it was pretty. It wasn't anything special. I think it was just kind of a play where the puck rimmed around up to the D man. They went D to D, and I was just kind of parked in front and got a good tip on it, and yeah, decent celly. So I was pretty pumped though.
Yeah, awesome, sweet. So I see you played St. George there coming up. Was there any decision at all of like staying at BWC, staying minor? How was that decision for you guys as a family or as yourself as far as where to play?
Yeah, it was. I mean, definitely a tough decision, but while I was actually playing at BWC, I was still going to school at St. George's before that, and they got the academy, I think, a year before I would have played there, so it was pretty new. And then I just saw kind of how it developed and how it grew in that 1 year, and just something kind of want to be a part of. I think it's also good that I have a bunch of non-hockey friends that went to the school, and it was just a really good community for me. And I thought that would be the best place for me to play, and I could kind of be a leader on that team, one of the best players. Obviously, playing in Bantam Prep in my first year as well was a good thing for me to do for my development. So I just thought it worked out either way.
Yeah. Yeah, I just noticed that you played prep as a first year and threw up 25, just a smooth 25 goals in 30 games and 52 points. Hey, no big deal. Hey. Well, how was that? I mean, that's a huge year. I mean, that's a huge year even in a draft year as a second year. So that transition there obviously didn't seem like it was too big of a deal for you.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it was definitely a jump for sure. It's a lot different going from Pee Wee to Bantam and Bantam Prep in a really good league like it was. And I was lucky enough to have a really good team around me, and some really good players and friends to kind of bounce off of, lean off of, and create with. So I really enjoyed my time there. It was some of the best couple of years at Saints there. But yeah, it was definitely a smooth transition, but definitely not easy right off the bat.
What was the draw to the CSSHL for you guys, or what? How do you think that supported your development?
Yeah, I just thought for me, I just kind of wanted to play against the best players in my age group, and I just thought that was the league that I wanted to do it. And everybody I knew that I played against growing up was kind of going to CSHL and then going that route. And to be the best, I thought I had to play with the best and compete with them. So that's just kind of the path I chose.
Gotcha. How many times a week were you on the ice there? Do you remember, as far as from practice schedule is concerned?
I think it would be probably 3 practices a week, and then we'd have 2 games on the weekend or something like that. So we were getting a lot of ice. It was always kind of there for us. We'd usually go after school, sometimes before school, but we'd have the full day to kind of get our work done and our education in. So that was really nice. And we do a workout and get on the ice. So it worked out really well.
Right. You guys in the Lower Mainland, I find, especially like the top players, seem to be, let's use the word recruited, can be recruited, right? Like you get pretty popular, or can be. What was that the same for you? What was there more of the schools interested than just BWC and St. George's?
Honestly, like I'm not too sure. I didn't really I don't think I was too involved with going anywhere else. I think I knew a bunch of my friends that I played spring hockey with were going to West Van Academy, so that was also an option, I think. But it was just kind of the distance was too far for me, and I live super close to St. George's. It was maybe a 5-7 minute drive, and
right.
I just thought the convenience of it all and going somewhere I'm familiar would just kind of help me be comfortable and become a better player and a person as well. So I just thought it was kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, perfect. What was your spring hockey seasons like? This is something that my boys, well, they're kind of just out of it. Like my youngest is now moving into U15, and I think spring kind of dies a little bit, at that age. But when you were in that U11, U13, were you running around? I saw you played in the brick, and there's a big commitment to play in the brick because you have to play in the tournaments before the brick and all that kind of stuff. Was that what your spring looked like? Were you running around all the top tournaments all the time?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, growing up with spring hockey, I'd usually play some field lacrosse as well, and then try to get that in just to kind of play a couple different sports. But yeah, our spring hockey team was a pretty good team, and we'd be traveling all over the place. Toronto, Nashville, Montreal. It was pretty cool to kind of go around and see some of that stuff, and play some good hockey against some good players. So for me, I loved it. It wasn't really a thing where it's like, oh, I have to go here and play these games. It was just so much fun, and get to do it with your close buddies. I had a blast, so it was awesome.
Right. Yeah, it's super cool, and I know this isn't really a decision that I'm going to ask you about because the parents are involved in it. But I find just with what I do now that some parents feel like if you can, you have to, almost like there's an obligation there, if you're good enough to go or get invited to these things, that you have to, maybe you get left behind, kind of like a keep up with the Joneses type of things. Now, you've already said, yes, hey, you liked it and you enjoyed it, and I'm sure you did. It was awesome. But do you think, could you have not done it and still be in the chair you are today, do you think?
Yeah, I think totally. I think, if I maybe didn't do that and did something else, it would maybe turn out the same way. I'm not too sure, but it's definitely not a necessity, I would say. I think it's something that, if you or your kid, loves to do it and loves to play, like, by all means, like, get out there and go play and have fun. But, if you aren't enjoying it or you want to do something else, that's totally, fine too. But for me, it was just kind of always hockey, like no matter what, I wanted to be doing that. So pretty easy for me, but, everybody has a different path, and there's tons of different people who, didn't play hockey at all in the spring and summer, and they're still, in the same spot. So yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's more of a message. I mean, I try and get across to parents to not feel like they need to, put a second mortgage on the house in order to chase, some of these big tournaments, right? Like, yeah, sure, train. Like I'm all about training, playing other sports, get on the ice, but like, don't feel like you have to do that type of stuff. It's kind of like my message. Because like you said, it's a long road, and whether you played on the brick when you were 8 years old or not doesn't mean where you're going to get drafted, 10 years later, right?
Not at all. Yeah, no, definitely not.
What so when it comes to the draft, like this is like kind of probably the first big stage where you guys, and it happens so young here in Western Canada, right? Like the arenas are filled with old fat bald guys with clipboards, and they're watching you guys. No offense to all the scouts out there, a lot of you guys aren't. But anyways, but yeah, I mean, you definitely notice, right? Like you walk into a CSSHL showcase or one of the John Reed tournaments or whatever, like, I mean, they're everywhere. It's impossible not to pretend that they're not there. And as a 13-year-old or as a 14-year-old, it can have an impact, or it can't have an impact. Do you remember what that season was like for you when it came to, now I am getting evaluated officially?
Yeah, it was always kind of a thing where, I mean, first few games of the season, maybe you see one or two and everyone's, kind of excited, I guess, and, trying to, play good and impress. And then people start to get those, first questionnaires, and everybody's asking each other, oh, did you get this one? Like, what are you filling out for this question? Blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of funny that way. And by the end of the season at the John Reed and, playoffs, the whole stands are packed with guys with clipboards and those black coats, and you can't miss them. So, obviously you see them, but, at the end of the day, I think our team, or at least for me, we were, super tight knit, and, we kind of just played for each other, and, just wanted to win. And, the rest of that stuff would have just taken care of itself either way. So It wasn't too much of a mindset on, playing for scouts or to get drafted, or just kind of, playing for each other and, playing good in a team kind of game.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great mindset to be in, because some guys can get really stuck with that, right? Like, especially when you're playing, I think you mentioned the word like trying to impress, right? Like trying to impress might not be the way that you play your best, right? Like trying to be flashy or trying to whatever, you know what I mean? Be a goal scorer when maybe you're not, or a puck carrying defenseman that isn't generally a puck carrying defenseman, right? But now trying to carry the puck and be noticed. And I find some guys get stuck in between. So you didn't feel that. You came out of the gate strong. Obviously sounds like you had a good team, and there wasn't really any slumps or any times you were questioning yourself that year.
Yeah, no, for me, I think, my confidence was super high, obviously playing in that league the year before. So I think that also helped. And I think just throughout the whole year with tournaments and regular season games, like I felt really good. And if I did have an off game, I would, it'd be really important to, next game, make sure you, get back to the basics and, kind of do what you do best. So I think for me, it was, pretty good year all in all.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. And especially, you might have a hard time answering this question because it didn't happen. But, playing at that U15 prep level as a first year, you had the 52 points in 30 games. So obviously you were in the right league, right? But there are guys that play in that league as first years, and maybe they're not getting those top line minutes, and maybe they're not getting a point and a half a game, and it's a bit more of a struggle. Do you feel with the type of player that you are, like, would you, if you were one of the guys that are maybe on the third line and not getting the PP minutes, would you have preferred to maybe play varsity and be a top guy there and get more touches, get more looks, have a bigger role? Or do you think it'd been better just to be in that league from an experience standpoint?
Yeah, I think there's an argument for both. I think, it depends. I mean, if you're, not playing at all and not really touching the puck or being involved in the play, that's not really going to help you. You're kind of just taking space, and you're definitely not getting better. So I mean, if you were to play in varsity and you were kind of then again the top guy getting all the minutes on the power play or touching the pucks and feeling really good about yourself, that does a lot for your confidence and makes you feel a lot better than just kind of sitting on the bench and maybe getting a few shifts every period. It's not really going to do too much for you. But
Right.
yeah, I think it's fully depends on the situation and the player and kind of what kind of ice time they're seeing or what's going on. But definitely benefits to both. I feel.
It's such a tough question to answer, especially as a parent trying to help going through that, because you don't have a crystal ball. You don't know how good there is going to be or whether the coach likes you or whatever. All those questions are sort of like the uncertainties and then how a player responds to that matters too. And maybe did you experience that at all? I mean, you had a big year there. You said you had you played 14 out of 16 there as a 15-year-old. Did you ever have a hard time getting in the lineup? Looks like you had a great 16-year-old year, like I said, but was there ever a time you were a healthy scratch or trying to get in there as a first year?
Yeah, I think well, in that COVID season, a couple games obviously didn't play and there, and then in the 16-year-old year at the start of the season, I think I got scratched a couple games in I think fourth game, fifth game maybe around then. So that was definitely a struggle, just being questioning yourself a little bit and thinking what you're doing wrong or why you're not playing and that sort of thing. But I had a really good support system, and I think once I got back in the lineup, I didn't really give it back. So I was pretty happy with how I did that. But I think like everybody else, there's ups and downs, and for me it was kind of at the start of that 16-year-old years, maybe not playing as much or got scratched a couple times, and I think that did really help me a lot along the way.
Right. Just want to take a short break from my conversation with Andrew to acknowledge the UMH 68 and the success of the UMH 68 event tournaments here that we held through May and June in Western Canada. We had a U15 or a U14, U15 actually in Manitoba. We had a U14 event in British Columbia. We had a U15 event in British Columbia. We also had a U14 event in Saskatchewan. It was awesome. We went to 4 events this year, and it was really exciting to work with some of my old teammates and Craig Geeky and Hugh Hamilton to get to connect with them again and their families. It was fantastic to meet all the great people across the prairies there in Western Canada, and also to welcome back some familiar names here to the BC events. So they really couldn't have gone much better, if better at all. The venues were great. The teams were fantastic. The competition was great, and everything ran really, really smoothly. So thanks to everyone that was involved. Thanks to everybody who wanted to get involved, and really a special thank you to the sponsors that made the event really special. Not only for the players, but also for the parents involved. We had BioSteel involved as the hydration sponsor this year, and they went all out with making sure the players had swag and water bottles and towels, and that they were fully stocked in the dressing rooms with either personal service portions or in the big jug. So we had a great time with BioSteel being a sponsor this year. They took great care of our players. We also had Elite Prospects that was involved in the events, where some of the players got scouting reports written about them from Elite Prospects scouts. That's going to be on their Elite Prospects profiles. All the stats from the events for all the players, whether it was the U14 or U15, their stats were tracked and recognized, and it's going to be on their profiles. So it was really exciting to get those profiles verified. And if you aren't already an EP follower, or subscriber, I guess I should say, you should get a verified or a premium account. It's really a great thing what Elite Prospects is doing there, and it was awesome that they wanted to get involved with the UMH 68 this year. And also a big special thanks to Iron Ghost Construction, has been supporting Up My Hockey in on the ground capacities here in Vernon with me and my spring programs, but also a huge contributor to the UMH 68, where their contribution helped a lot of athletes attend the event. It's not a cheap event to put on. I've talked about that in the show before. We provide a tremendous value, we feel, but there is expenses that are involved, and there is registration fees involved with that. And sometimes families are not able to attend due to registration costs and to travel and whatever. And we try to make this event something that you can't say no to. And when Iron Ghost stepped up and I said, hey, I'd like to put a scholarship fund together for some of these families to help with scholarships to reduce the registration fees. Iron Ghost and Trevor there with Iron Ghost said, "Yeah, let's do it." And there was a lot of families that took advantage of that this year. So without some some corporate support like that, events like the UMH 68 just don't happen. And I want to make that a real important part of the event going forward. There's a lot of people that are saying that we should be charging more for the event for what you're getting, and that's the idea. I mean, the idea is I want this to be a no-brainer. I do believe we should be charging more for the event and for the workshops and for everything else that gets handled there at the UMH 68. But that's not what the idea is. The idea is to give an amazing world-class experience to the athletes and to the parents, to allow them to leave more educated, better equipped players to make their goals and dreams come true. And if we accomplish that, then that is the main goal, and that always has been the main goal. So the registration fees and making the most money possible is not what's been about at all. It's been about making hockey a better place and providing an excellent experience for those that get selected to come to the event. So thank you, Iron Ghost, to allowing these people to come. And if it was up to me, I would be reducing the fees as low as possible, like to zero, essentially. I've had that talk with my provincial directors that the goal of the UMH 68 is to get more corporate sponsorship so we can continue to reduce the fees that families have to pay and really make this thing an absolute no-brainer for people to attend. So, with saying that, yes, thank you to Iron Ghost for being one of those corporate sponsors. But if you are out there and if you're listening, and if you have a company or a corporation, or even if you're just somebody that wants to give back to the game and you're a spot where you can do it, and want to contribute to the scholarship fund for the UMH 68, that is where the dollars go. The dollars go back to the parents who are attending, and that's where we'd like to have it. So if you're somebody that would like to get involved and wants to know more about that, by all means, email me at Jason at upmyhockey.com, and we can talk about the scholarship fund. And actually, come to think of it, for anyone who's been a listener of the podcast and maybe hasn't been involved in any Up My Hockey services or products and feel like, hey, this podcast has been a pretty good resource for me, I'd love to give back to something they're doing. Maybe that'd be a great way that you could do it, $50 or $100, and that would be going into the scholarship fund to help a family attend a UMH 68 in the future. So once again, really appreciate everyone for being involved. Appreciate the corporate sponsorship out there, those that were involved and were able to share a piece. All the local sponsors, all the sponsors that were taking care of the Grit and Grind Awards and were responsible for the Game Star Awards, and those that were helping in safety and nutrition. And there are so many places where these events need and do better with local corporate businesses that want to be a part of youth sports and making this place a better place. So thank you for every one of you that was involved. We look forward to continue to growing the brand. And if you are someone out there in whatever jurisdiction, it doesn't have to be Western Canada, but maybe somewhere in the States, maybe somewhere in Ontario, somewhere where we haven't been before. And if you think this is an event that you'd like to see come to your geographic area, by all means, reach out. We are growing this year. We're going to be adding a female event to the 4 Western provinces. And there's likely to be a relatively big announcement here on the UMH 68 side as far as new plans for next year, and potentially having a UMH Cup, which would be one team selected from each province to come in June to compete for the big prize. So more to come on that. But yes, a UMH 68 successful season has been completed. Thank you again to everyone who's been involved, and be watching the website for the watch lists that'll be coming out soon with event dates for next season in 2026. Now let's get back to the conversation with Andrew Cristall. I meant to ask you about the WHL draft. So, I mean, you had a great season. I think it said that you led the CSSHL in goals, which is obviously a huge accomplishment. It looks like you lit up the John Reed, had a great playoffs, and then you end up going eighth overall. In leading up to that draft, was there anyone that you thought, like, did you go where you thought you were going to go? Did you thought you might have go a little earlier? How did that process work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly had no idea where I was going to go. To be honest, I didn't really have any expectations. I was just hoping to get drafted at some point, and I was super lucky to get drafted to a great spot. But I don't even really think I talked to Kelowna at all that much. Really, I think they might have called my parents one time just to kind of like check in, I guess. But I don't think I talked to them personally. And when they ended up drafting me, I was super pumped. But I was a super small kid, like weighed probably just over 100 pounds. So I really didn't think I was going to be, getting drafted too high. And, I'm really glad they took the pick on me and took that risk. So, I hopefully, they were pretty happy with it.
You were just over 100 pounds your draft year. You
I'm
definitely
going to say probably like 100 and 120 pounds or so. Yeah, I was a little 130. Yeah, I was tiny.
That's fantastic. I love hearing that. So, um, in saying that, so a smaller guy, and I've read a few things on you, and I want to get into that. But if there is a knock against you, it seems like it's been your skating. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, that's not from me watching you. That's just from what I've read. Is with for an undersized guy, let's call you that, right? In that league, and maybe not the most fleet of foot. I love hearing that. So how did you navigate that league so successfully? Because that's a pretty big, heavy league, that U15 prep league.
Yeah, I think again, it's just kind of I think the game's in the mind for sure. I think, I wouldn't have said I was, a bad skater at all or any of that, but definitely a smaller kid. So I'd kind of have to work my way around the ice and, pick my spots to kind of get in the play and, find open space. And then I just kind of relied on my brains and my skills to kind of, feather a pass through or make a quick read that maybe someone else is not really looking at. So I think for me, that was just kind of, how I navigated through the league, quickly, I guess, or tried to.
Yeah. Yeah, good for you. I mean, that's awesome. And that's really inspiring for some of the other guys that maybe, haven't gone through puberty yet or just on the smaller end of the spectrum anyways, that it doesn't have to be a big man's game, to be successful. That's for sure. I did read a couple things, a couple scouting reports that thought that pick, like I said, was, it's not going to translate to WHL. Obviously, you completely blew that up in a lot of people's faces, which is fantastic. Just meaning the skating, it's like they thought whatever, I mean, it's not going to be quick enough for that league. I read a couple scouting reports at the NHL level that said, it's not going to translate. Is that something that, one, do you even read that? Do you care? Is that something that supplies motivation? How do you handle stuff like that?
Yeah, I think, I see some stuff. I, try not to, obviously, but, you see it and it's just, motivation, fuel to the fire. It's, something I feel like I've been doing my whole life is proving people wrong. And, people make assumptions or judgments and they don't really know, the background of it maybe or not. But, I mean, if someone says, I can't skate well enough to, play in this league or play in that league, I'm going to go and work on my skating and, become faster and prove them wrong. So, it's something that, I don't really think about too much, but obviously in the back of my mind, it's something that, gives me a little chip on my shoulder.
Yeah, good for you. Is there so when it comes to that, and you said there's something that you work on, so like development is a huge thing that I love working with players on, like their own development, right? Because you can, as you can go to any skill skate you want, and there's going to be some type of a drill set up, but it might not be for Andrew Cristall, right? Like, but you need to make it your own, or you need to find somebody that's going to help you with what you need to get better at. If skating is something that I'm using that as an example, if that's something that you think you need to get better at to be, the NHL player that you foresee yourself, how do you go about doing that now? Going into a camp where you're going to go into, your first pro year this year, right? And obviously playing against men. Is that something that you are focusing on this off season?
Yeah, totally. I think it's something that, I've been focused on for the past couple. And, when I got kind of introduced to, the power skating kind of thing, and it's helped me a lot, and I've, come a long way. So it's something that I'm doing with a coach down here that, I've used for the past couple of years that, I've seen, a lot of improvements. And then when I'm not on the ice with that coach and I'm doing like a skill skate or or on the ice kind of doing something else, it's something that you keep in mind of, like little cues on the ice and, what you need to do with your stride. Or for me, I think a big one this year will be, my acceleration and, stop and starts. So, before every drill, I just try and make a mental note of, maybe start this in a crossover start or start this facing that way, and really focus on that before you kind of get into the rep with the puck and, make your read from there. But, it's kind of something that I work into my skates, whether if I'm not doing my actual power skating lesson.
Right. Are you a gym rat? Do you like being in the gym? Do you not like being in the gym?
Oh, I mean, no, I am in the gym. I mean, 5 days a week and doing my stuff. So, yeah, it's definitely something that I think is, important and something that could really help you on the ice. I think, one thing obviously I'm working on for this year is building my strength and building my speed. So it's something that will help me, translate that to the ice. So it's been good for me.
Did you experience that at camp last year? I mean, I think it was last year your first NHL camp or the year before?
I've been at 2 so far. Yeah, so it's the year before last year.
Okay. So a lot of times that's a pretty big eye opener for junior guys, right? Like going there, whether you get in an exhibition game or not, but even like the inter squad games, that games feels a little different here, and that's a little bit of an eye opener to go back and really kind of understand like the physicality of it and the strength and speed. Did you have that experience there, just recognizing that it's a little bit different up here?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think right after I got drafted, that training camp was awesome for me. They kept me around for a little bit, and I was able to actually play in a preseason game. So, I was playing against who was it? It might have been Philly or Detroit, I think, and I got in the game, and the pace it's a lot faster and it goes quick and it's physical, and I think I got an assist somehow, luckily, or whatever. So that kind of got my confidence up a bit. But no, those practices and playing those games, it's a whole other level. So I think having that experience was huge. And then going into the year, last year and camp, I felt really good and kind of knew what was to come. So yeah, it helped a lot, but definitely eye-opening after that first year.
The exhibition game is no joke though, right? Like putting like for real, putting the jersey on, like it's not for real, but it's like for real enough that your name's on it. Like it's the real thing. You're traveling with the team, you're wherever. Like I totally remember my first games, and that was so fun as like an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, like to get that experience.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a home game in DC, and you put the jersey on your last name, and the stands aren't packed, but there's people there wearing Capitals jerseys, and the whole show is going on and whatnot. So it was pretty cool for me, and that was a pretty eye-opening experience to kind of go through that for the first time.
That's awesome. Anyone that leave an impression with you? Like, I don't know, I mean, as far as maybe veterans, like somebody that, made an impact, took you under the wing at all, or anyone that you asked some questions to that you look forward to meeting and seeing?
Yeah, I think there's actually a bunch of guys, in Washington that were super, super good to me and super nice. It was, this year, like I think most people saw online and stuff, they had a super tight-knit team, and they were all super close to each other. And, I was there for basically all of camp and until the final cut day. So, guys like Stromer, Tom Wilson, they reached out to me, when I, did get let go, and that through the year, they were texting me a little bit. But everybody when I was there was super nice, whether, it was a guy like Carlson who was talking to me, which, definitely doesn't have to do and then go out of his way to do that. And, legends or, like Ovi maybe giving me a tip on the power play or something like that. So it was a pretty crazy experience for me.
That's cool. Did you get a chance to play with him at all in any other squads or anywhere?
Yeah, I played in, I think 2 or 3 preseason games with him, and we were on the same power play unit for a game. And I think I was net front that game. So we scored on a rush play. So thankfully I didn't have to stand net front in front of his one-timer, but it was a pretty good play. So it was cool to kind of be out there on the ice with them and kind of when we scored, get in a huddle and, give a couple fist bumps. So it was awesome.
That's pretty bonkers, man. That's pretty cool. Hey, like to be there with him. Was he a guy for you? And I'm sure Ovi wouldn't take offense. Like for me, it was like Mario Lemieux. Like when I got a chance to play against Mario Lemieux in Pittsburgh, like in an NHL regular season game, it was the coolest freaking thing ever. I got to play against Gretzky too, but he wasn't really my guy. Like that was super cool. Like I got to play against him, but it wasn't like me playing against Mario. Like was Ovi that for you?
He was definitely one of them, I think, for sure. I had a couple, but I mean, the way he could score goals and the way he played, it was, I was always watching him, and maybe not someone I, modeled my game after, but definitely a
Right.
star that, when I got there and saw him, I was like, wow, like, I can't believe this. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. And he's, a special player.
That's awesome. Yeah. What a cool experience already. Um, Going back to junior, one, like what a freaking crazy career, man. Like congrats on crushing it. Like every year. I just actually looked at the points in quant hockey. You're like 20, I don't know, and you probably wouldn't even know this, but
I don't know. I don't think.
yeah, like you're 21st all time in the WHL for career points. That's pretty cool. Hey?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
definitely. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
it's nuts. And even like when I was texting you, so I mean I'm sure I would have mentioned it in the intro, but like the playoffs, well, one, like the regular season you just had read the WHL in points, and then in the playoffs hooking up with Berkeley, and you guys just going hog wild there and scoring 21, which tied my record as a Spokane Chief. I just brought that up. That's the second most all time in the history of the WHL too, single season playoff goal record. So like, what a freaking finish. Talk about this last year. Like, was it like how was it special and why was it special? And I'll just give you the floor on that because obviously a lot of special things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a crazy year. I, obviously getting drafted to Kelowna and living there for a while, I, thought I'd be playing there for my whole career and, not getting traded. And, when that happened and, I kind of had a little bit of heads up, but, when I got to Spokane, it was, I mean, more than I could have imagined and better than that, other than winning the last series. It was such a cool team to be a part of. And some of the guys, I'll be friends forever for sure. And, it's a really great group. And yeah, it's just a special year on and off the ice. I think it was, super fun kind of playing with Burke and Shea there. So, it was awesome. And everything from, staff, management, crowd, everything about playing in Spokane was so awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. And nothing. I mean, Kelowna was having a bit of a rough year. I mean, from a standing side, so that going from there to a team that was moving, and not that there wasn't any good players in Kelowna, but obviously going to playing with Berkeley Catton, a fellow, high pick. I think he was a top 10 pick. And then the 20-year-old overage there, and you guys seem to click right out of the gates. Like that must have been a little bit of a breath of fresh air for you too, hey?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I knew Berkeley only a little bit, but didn't really play with him. I think we played at a tournament, but never really got on the ice on a line together. And obviously watched him kind of play in the league, and he was killing it already. And when I got there, I was hoping that the transition would be smooth and seamless. And I mean, yeah, I was. I think our brains kind of clicked together, and we were able to kind of see the same things on the ice and think the same way. And we were always talking and kind of figuring out how to get better and keep playing well and things like that. So to play with a guy like that, it was pretty special. And I can't say enough good things about him. He's unbelievable.
Did you guys play together from game one?
Yeah, I think we might have played two or three periods apart from each other. So yeah, no, it was pretty much the whole time.
So that was a no-brainer for the coaching staff, and you guys took it and ran with it.
Yeah, we did. I think it was kind of the first time we were like, yeah, we're gonna try you guys together and see if it works, see if it doesn't work. And we were pretty committed to making it work so we could go on a good run together.
Do you see big things for Berkeley?
Oh yeah, I mean, don't know how you couldn't. He's unbelievable player. He skates like the wind. He battles. He works so hard and so smart and just super cerebral with the puck. It's awesome to watch. So I mean, I see huge things for the kid, and he's awesome. So yeah, I couldn't see him not being successful.
He's 1 year younger than you, right?
Yeah.
So he'll have to make the NHL this year to play, or else he'll have a 19-year-old year. Yeah, so that'll be who drafted him again?
Seattle.
Seattle. Okay, so maybe an opportunity. Hey, coming off of a no playoff year, that'll be interesting to see how his camp goes. You guys have another good one there in Mathis Preston that looks like he's going to be a pretty top shelf player. What do you have to say about Preston's game?
Yeah, he's unreal. He's I don't know if I've ever seen a player skate kind of like the way he does. He's so smooth and he can just fly, and his shot is unbelievable off a one-timer, off a wrist shot or anything. He can just snap the pill. It's so well. It's pretty awesome. So he's gonna be so good for them this next year, and obviously gonna go really high in the draft as well. But
What's your guess? If you were to, what's your over under Vegas odds on Preston's pick?
I don't know. I think he could go very high though. I'm not sure the exact number, but no matter where he goes, he's going to be super special and really successful. So I'm super pumped for him.
Yeah, that's cool. I saw him play his prep year, his U15 prep year, and yeah, man, he could just flat out rip it, rip it. Quick release off the rush, like in stride, and could put it where he wanted to. I like that he played with an edge too. Like he's pretty aggressive in his nature, seems like, and he can definitely skate. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to watch him grow and his game. And yeah, I mean, it seems like he definitely could be a top 10 pick. I mean, if he has a good year, right? Depending on how the year goes for him, but that'll be fun to watch. Just want to take another short break here from the podcast to talk about the 2025-26 hockey season that is almost upon us. If you are somebody that has been thinking about mental training, mindset training, personal development training, and want to have a season like you've never had before, or if you're a team manager, a team coach that would like to bring this type of stuff into your team environment, or if you're an association head that would like to think about running a pilot project or providing support to your competitive teams, then Up My Hockey is the place for you. The more that I've had people take the program and the more that I've talked to people that have used other programs, especially from the association capacity or team capacity, it sounds like there's nothing out there like what Up My Hockey provides. The fact that we have an online program that is delivered through video in bite-sized pieces that the athletes can consume on their own, not workshop related, not lecture related, not in a team environment where there's distractions, and there's also assignments that are involved in the program. It makes it attainable. It makes it consumable. It makes it digestible. And it makes it tangible. Like there is results from a vast majority of players who take the program in a team environment. The bandwidth that we cover is large. So a lot of times people get confused with what I call my mental fitness and mental health. They can be talked about in the same breath, but for me, mental health is more depression based, that we want to take care of our mental health. We don't want people to be depressed. We don't want people to be considering suicide or, heaven forbid, commit suicide. This is something that is super important, especially in the teenage years. But that is not what Up My Hockey is. That is something that a lot of associations are providing, mental health support to their players. But let's be honest, there isn't that many players that are experiencing that type of issue. So when you have a workshop or you have something that covers that across a broad spectrum, you are looking at a lot of blank eyes because that doesn't speak to a lot of players. So again, I'm not downplaying the need for that. There is a need for it. But what Up My Hockey does is more mental fitness. That is giving players the tools to not only succeed and perform and to develop, but also to have the tools that hopefully empowers them to not have mental health issues in the future, that we can deal with adversity and we can deal with, put down setbacks, potential maybe bullying, these types of things that sometimes can derail athletes. We give them tools and give them the confidence to be able to handle some of these things and move forward with strength and with their head held high. So if you're worried about your athlete, their mental fitness, if you're worried about their confidence, if you want them to be able to take ownership of their development, to be motivated to work out on the ice and in the weight room, if you want them to understand that the value of being a teammate and a good person and how that reflects not only on the success of the group but also the success of the individual, then Up My Hockey is where you want to be. This is a high performance type program that deals with the mental fitness of the individual and of the group. and you will get results with this program. So if that's something that is of interest to you, like I said, in any capacity, whether as an individual, whether as a parent, whether as a player, as a team manager, as a team coach, as a director of hockey somewhere, that you would like your teams to have a team bonding experience unlike any other, and give them tools that will allow them to win more hockey games, perform better, also handle adversity, and have less problems within your association, then by all means, check me out. We are growing an affiliate bunch of coaches as well right now that we are empowering to help other teams in geographic areas. So there's lots happening at Up My Hockey, and we can definitely support you, your player, and your teams. You can reach out on the website or to me directly, jason@upmyhockey.com. All right, let's have the best 25-26 season going. Try training something that you haven't trained before, and the results will surprise you. Let's get back to the conversation with Andrew Cristall. As far as you tying my record, congrats, man. We're in the club, man. Whether you like it or not, you and me. Did you know at the time at all that you were like that was happening, or that was there, or even like when you came to like the all-time status, not necessarily Spokane, but WHL, like you scored 2 more, you'd be the number 1 scorer ever for a playoff round. Did you know any of that?
No, I actually didn't really know any of that. I feel like if I did, maybe I'd shoot the puck a little bit more, and maybe I would be kind of thinking about it too much. So I'm glad I didn't. But I think it was just kind of a thing where everyone was just kind of talking about like 20 goals and how it was kind of close to there, and that was more than. I mean, I didn't really know anything about any records or anything like that until I saw like a post about it or whatever. So I mean, I didn't really know about it, and kind of glad I did. It was just kind of let me play a little bit more free and just kind of do what I was doing. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, you're still in it. Just like when I was in it, I don't even think, because like these stats and the ability to find them wasn't even around. So I had no idea that I even really had a record until not too long ago. Right. But it's so like, how wild is that? Like, I mean, I can give it perspective for you, because I did that 30 years ago. Right. Like that's a long time, man. And so to do something that took 30 years for someone else to do is cool. And who knows if someone's going to pass you or not, but obviously what you did is not easy. So, congratulations on that. You. And yeah, kind of fun to have our names sitting side by side there in Spokane Chief history. So, super cool. What's next for you? Like when you're coming here, you're stepping into your pro season, first official pro season. It's Hershey. Hershey or the Washington Capitals, most likely. Where's your mindset with all this, and where your summer's at, and what's your focus right now?
Yeah, I mean, my focus is definitely to make the team. I think in Washington, I feel like that should kind of be every prospect or player's mindset and their goals. So I'm super confident in myself and trying to go in there and take a spot and make a job for myself. And if that doesn't happen, obviously, hopefully go play in Hershey and have a great year, and just kind of keep developing as a player, and hope to get there as soon as possible.
Are you a lineup watcher kind of guy? Like, meaning like whatever your position is, do you know who's there, what contract they're on, who do you have to beat out? Like, or are you just sort of a guy that goes with the flow, tries to play well? Like, how's your strategy for that?
I mean, yeah, I think maybe a little bit of both. I think I'm also just kind of a hockey nut, so I know almost everybody else, every team's roster and things like that. So I definitely know, the guys, I mean, I guess per se that you're competing with and whatnot. But I think for me, it's kind of also just go with the flow and go in there, play well, and, take care of, what I need to take care of. And the rest is kind of out of my control. So it's not really a lineup read and whatnot. It's just kind of go in there and, play my game.
Yeah, cool. Did you go to Hershey for playoffs? Did they bring you up after your run there?
I was only there for about a day because, we obviously lost to Manhattan in the finals, and they were down 2-0 in their series, and I flew up, and then they just had the one game kind of the next day that I got there, and ended up losing, and that was kind of it for the series. So I didn't get into a game, but I was there briefly.
Gotcha. So you just essentially got to watch and didn't even really skate, or didn't have that much of an experience at the AHL level then.
Yeah. The year before that, I was up there for 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks. So I was able to kind of get a little bit of a feel. So that was during the playoffs. I didn't get into any games, but I was practicing and around the guys the whole time. So that was super cool. But yeah, this past year I didn't wasn't in there much.
All right. So sights are set on Washington as they should be, but you're also familiar with Hershey and the arena and what all's going down there.
Yeah.
I meant to ask you when it comes to agents, because this has been a question that I've been asked a lot, and it seems like it's happening younger and younger. When did you secure an agent? How old were you, and what was the process for you in doing that?
Yeah, for me, it was kind of just like I think it might have been like the dub draft year, maybe just kind of reach out to teams or something. But it was also just through my brother. Like he's 3 years older than me. So he was kind of navigating junior and he kind of already had one. So I just kind of slipped through the cracks a bit and I got some help that way. But it wasn't a full on like whole recruitment process or anything like that. I wouldn't say it was just kind of a seamless transition to that. But I mean, yeah, it just kind of helped me a little bit, I guess.
So you used the agent that your brother had?
Yeah.
Is that who you're still with?
No, I'm with CAA now, so different agency, but I was there for quite a while, actually. Yeah.
Is that another thing? Like, do you feel that's like should players try to get an agent in their draft year? Is that something that you feel is beneficial? Do you feel it's unnecessary? Like, where are you at with that aspect as a youth player? I guess entering the WHL or juniors.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it is kind of now with how young people are getting them or whatnot. I don't think it's a necessity to have it to get drafted. I mean, wherever you get drafted doesn't really matter. It's kind of what you do after, as long as you kind of get there. So
Right.
it's not a huge thing, I would say, when you're young. I think it definitely, maybe helps a little bit just to kind of talk to teams or see what's going on if you're kind of a kid who gets curious about things like that and kind of not knowing where you're at a bit. But definitely not necessary super young.
Yeah, fair enough. Did you the whole Hockey Canada thing? So like you didn't get an invite, right, to the camp this year?
I got an invite, but yeah, I got cut at the camp.
Okay, so you're one of the guys that got an invite but then got cut, and there are also some really really big names that didn't even get an invite. So
Yeah.
you got an invite. How did that camp go for you?
I mean, yeah, I thought it went pretty well. I think I played, really good in the 2 or 3 games that we did. It was kind of one was just an inter squad. And, I think I had maybe I think a goal and maybe an assist or something like that. And then we played against the U Sports team and kind of did my thing and, put up a couple numbers and was playing really good, I thought, defensively, offensively, and kind of did what I kind of put my mind to do and set to do. And, it just didn't work out for me, I guess. But I felt, really good throughout that whole camp.
Oh, okay. Because there was another, I can't remember the name now. One of the defensemen I heard on a different podcast that said he didn't have a good camp and kind of was. Did you hear who that was? I can't remember.
I think I saw that. I think it was Zane.
Yeah, Zane. Zane said he couldn't turn right or something, that he kept like falling over or whatever. So he was like, you know what, I probably shouldn't have made it. I didn't have a great camp, but you felt like you had a good camp. What was the exit interview like for you not making that?
Yeah, it was just kind of unfortunate. They just kind of said, yeah, we're probably just going to go in a different direction, and yeah, that was kind of all, I guess. It wasn't they didn't really tell me why exactly, so I'm not too sure on that. But obviously they went one way, and I mean that's completely fine. Like if I didn't make the team, it is what it is. Nothing I can do about it. But yeah, it was just kind of brief, I think.
Right. So God, that's got to bug you though. Or like, is it over? Was it like how long did it take you to get over that? And maybe it didn't bother you at all. I mean, I have no idea. But you mean, just for context, I'm going to say for the listeners here. I mean, we're talking to about the guy that led the WHL in points and was a first team CHL All-Star, right? That is getting cut from this Team Canada team. So the accolades are there, and you had a good camp, and now they're saying no. I mean, to me, that sounds like you're probably pretty pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely not happy. It was, drew mind playing that tournament, obviously, and be a part of it. So it's something that, I probably think about every week still to this day, and something that fuels me, to, prove them wrong. And again, just kind of be successful in my own right. But yeah, it's obviously sucked kind of being at home watching that tournament when, I was hoping to be playing and, being a big part of that team, honestly. So it was too bad, but at the end of the day, things happen for a reason. And, I think it's made me a better player and more mature person and, better mentally as well. So I think it ended up helping me a lot.
Good for you. I mean, there was also no feedback as far as we would have liked more of this from you. It was just, we're just not going your direction.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of like you made choice difficult on us, and unfortunately, we're gonna have to let you go. And obviously, they hope the best for me throughout the year and whatnot. So that was nice, and that was good. But yeah, it was just kind of quick kind of cut situation, I guess.
Right. Was that your second camp? Did you get invited the year before?
No, I wasn't invited the year before.
So that was your first kick at the cap there. Yeah, that's too bad. You've got to go with the Holinka, though. I mean, and it looks like you played well there too. So was that a pretty good experience playing for Canada in that environment?
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah. Pre-draft year was, a bunch of the guys I already knew, just kind of growing up, and played U17 teams with them as well. So we had an unbelievable team. I think we led in maybe 3 goals all tournaments, and we just kind of ran through it. So that was pretty awesome. We did it in Red Deer, so in Canada, and the fans are great and stuff. So it was a blast.
That's cool. Was there many members of your from your draft class, your WHL draft class? Because I looked at that list. Boy, there's some solid players. Like the top 8 there up to you are all legit. Were they on that squad as well?
Oh yeah, most of them I think were on that. I think we had a good amount of Western kids on that team, and it was great. It was a good mix of, I think, everybody, and everybody kind of gelled together really well, and we played good. So it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So this time of the year, the calendar's just about turned into August. I think camp for the NHL guys starts. What is it now? Like second week of September?
15th, I think 17th.
Yeah, second week of September. So you're still 6-7 weeks away. Where are you at in your training right now? What do you? A lot of guys are phasing it, I find now, and doing different things. Like what is your day? What do your days look like?
Yeah, I mean, kind of right in the middle of it right now. I think I kind of just love the grind of it, I guess, and then doing it all and being on the ice. So yeah, it's not anything too crazy. Probably just like a workout, a skate, and then after that, it's kind of just enjoy summer, I guess. Enjoy the outside. I think being here in Vancouver, it's pretty great, and I'm pretty lucky to be here. So maybe going outside, or getting a golf round in, or just hanging out with some of my buddies. So it's pretty a great summer for me.
Was there any direction from Washington about what they want to see? Is there a strength goal or a weight goal or a body fat goal or anything like that they wanted you to focus on this summer?
Yeah, I don't think there's like set numbers, but it's obviously just get everything better. I think one thing is obviously lower body strength and getting faster and stronger. I think it's gonna be huge in the corners and puck battles and kind of winning pucks back. Being a smaller guy, have a low center of gravity, so hopefully that'll help me a little bit more. But I think just getting stronger and more comfortable in battles against pro players. So yeah.
Is there? I remember back in my day, like the VO2 and the Wingate were generally like the cornerstones of the testing day, and those were the ones that were relatively feared, and you wanted to do well in. Is that still a thing? Like, is that what guys are those the metrics that teams are looking at?
At the combine, that's what I did, and I think they're still doing. But I don't think in Washington they do a VO2 or anything like that. So it's just some other stuff I think that probably most teams would do. But I don't think it's anything that you're super stressed about or worried about. Obviously, you want to do the best that you can and show well. But it's not something that you're kind of scared or nervous to go do.
Right. How was that combine? I'm glad you brought that up, like the testing and that experience leading into the draft. What's your memories of that?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I thought for me, you kind of see that when you're growing up, and kind of people saying there's crazy questions or whatnot. And for me, it all went really smooth. I thought the meetings were pretty fun to kind of get to know a lot of these different people in the NHL and super important people. And then with all the guys who were getting drafted, going through the testing, it was it was hard, but it was a lot of fun, and I think I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Did you test well? Do you remember, or like whatever?
I think that was pretty good. I not sure if I was in the top of the class, but I think I held my own for sure. So I was pretty happy with it.
So it all is public though, right? Where you get, what number you get, and what that means.
Yeah, I think so. I think they only post maybe the top 10 of each category or something. But I think at the end of the combine, I got a sheet of what I did or not. But
right.
I don't.
That would make sense, I guess, because they wouldn't want to shame somebody who finished last or whatever.
Yeah,
so probably just
I guess.
the top guys. And so that's where they have their interviews then too. Hey, at the combine, they don't do it on draft day as much anymore.
Yeah, no, for me it was I mean they're all at the combine. It was at in Buffalo at their arena. There's kind of just the whole suite level was 32 boxes of the different teams. So it was kind of just hop from whatever team wanted to talk to you, and you go there and talk to them and do your
Yeah.
interview, and then you go to the next team. So yeah,
Speed dating.
yeah.
Hopping over. Did you I guess I should ask you about the draft. Like was that you went 40th, I think, is that
Yeah.
right? And you were definitely one of those guys that I looked at that, could have been, a first rounder, it sounded like, and ended up going in the second round. What was your expectation in that environment as far as where you were going to go, who you might go to, and what was that day like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, the first day wasn't great, but the second day was awesome. But yeah, I was obviously hoping to get picked in the first round, and it didn't happen, and that was fine. It was another maybe chip on your shoulder a little bit, but
Were there some maybes though? Like, were there some teams there that you were like, oh, this might be the one that like you had some good feelings about?
I mean, I feel like I think I'm not sure like the exact teams, but I think at that time I was like pretty confident that maybe one of them would take me, and I was definitely hoping at the end or in the middle of it to kind of get picked, and I mean then it didn't happen, and then it was just kind of the next day getting up and making a dream happen, and I was ended up being put in a great spot. I thought I was really hoping to go to Washington at that point. I think it's super cool place to play. I think their team that they had there and all the guys, and obviously Ovi, and I knew a lot about them, so I was pretty pumped to get put in that situation.
That's sweet. Yeah, and it's all about expectations. And I've told that story a couple of times on the pod, but like I thought that I was going to be a first rounder too. I actually like Toronto told me they were going to take me with their first pick, like totally. And then that never happened. And then I waited from like 15 to 31. I went, and that felt like that was like a freaking eternity. Like when you're, as you've been in that chair, right? It's like, oh, is it going to happen? And then in your scenario, you had to wait to day two. Like that was a rough day for me, to be perfectly honest. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't awesome. And instead of being Toronto's first pick, I was Florida's third pick, right? Even though I was 31. So like talk about a difference in opportunity and a difference on the depth chart and all that stuff, right? So it does change things a little bit. But I mean, I guess with the next day you had to regroup. You just go out there, fresh start kind of. I'm sure your agent had a few things to say to you. How was that overnight process for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly like just the walk back obviously was super upset and a little bit disappointed, but I mean I wasn't too sad. I think I knew the next day I was going to get drafted, and for me it wasn't really about I want to go this number, I have to go here to play in the NHL. It's just kind of hoping to get picked. So I think I went to sleep fine. I woke up next day pretty excited to kind of get back there and hear my name called eventually, and luckily it happened pretty quick there. So I was just super pumped up. I couldn't wait to smile off my face once I got picked. So I was happy.
That's awesome. Who did they take in the first round?
They took Ryan Leonard.
Ryan Leonard. Oh, okay. And the guy who played in the playoffs there this year then, hey?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Well, man, it was great to get to know you a little bit, celebrate your career. We wish you nothing but the best over here in Western Canada, and hope to see your name there with the Capitals this year. But if not, like you've said it a few times, I mean, the journey is the journey, and the AHL is not a bad place to be for a lot of guys. I think from my experience, the guys that do have a year or two in the AHL are usually more grounded, kind of better pros at the end of the day anyways, right? To know what it's about. But anyways, obviously have a kick-ass camp, and hopefully you start with the big plug. That'd be fantastic to see. So yeah, thanks for sharing your time today, man, and really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to episode 160 with Andrew Cristall. Thank you for listening to the entire show. And thanks for coming back. If you are somebody that has been, I don't know, let's say a loyal listener of the podcast, you are probably mad at me because we haven't had episodes for, 4 to 6 weeks now, which is not what a responsible podcaster should be doing. But I hope you can respect the number of balls that I have in the air with the three boys and with the UMH 68s and with the spring hockey and with my mindset clients. And it does seem like it just never ends sometimes. And during the time there with the UMH 68, where we had 4 events in 4 consecutive weekends, each event is 4 days long, and with the setup day and then the breakdown day and then the travel day, it was a lot. It was definitely a lot, and something had to give. So the podcast was the thing that had to give. I do value the podcast. I do value you as listeners, and I think it is an important vehicle for Up My Hockey to to not only help the game of hockey, but also to support the business of Up My Hockey. So please don't feel that my time away was something that I took lightly, but there is. Everyone needs some room to breathe here and there, and that was my room to breathe. So we plan to be bringing back the podcast, if not bi-weekly, at least weekly. I don't want to make too many promises when it comes to the pod, because sometimes it flows and sometimes it's easy to find guests and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm not going to make this a point of stress in my life. I hope you can respect the releases of them, and I'll get them out when I can. And I definitely want to keep getting you guys good content. So the idea is from now, this is August, approaching August here in a couple days, 2025. Hopefully we'll have a solid lineup of pods ready for you here coming into the season, and get back in the regular download habit of Up My Hockey. So yes, hope you're enjoying your summer out there. Hope you enjoyed the podcast with Andrew, and yeah, we'll catch you next week in a couple weeks with our next episode. So until next time, keep playing hard and keep your head up.